man, rest in peace to George Floyd. I had to speak on this real quick. If you're not aware by now, if you've been on some deserted island or something, you may not be aware of what's going on in the media. George Floyd was unjustifiably murdered by a law enforcement officer named Derek Chauvin or some shit. I'm pretty sure that was his name, right? Rest in peace, George Floyd, okay? But nobody's touching down on why this shit happens. Nobody's identifying the root cause of any of this. Everybody's just expressing their emotions. Bro, we've got a bunch of individuals that are judgmental creeps, that are racist, that are detrimental, that are damaging. They're handed foundations for success, man. They have a lot to be grateful for, bro. They can't reflect on their good fortune. And they're restless and creepy and maniacal and hateful and jealous. They can't stand the fact that people aren't identical to them. That's what racism is. People are swallowing Xanax and drinking vodka for false confidence, They're taking reality and distorting it. Life. They're turning life into a crushing conundrum. That's what our society encourages in general. But racists, they're the epitome of that. You gotta understand, it is what it is, bro. People hate accountability. They hate discipline. They don't like to have to acquire a purpose or point to their existence. They feel like their own comfort and satisfaction is what life revolves around. That's how most people in our society operate due to this design, okay? But not everybody's held accountable equally. So what I wanted to clarify, regardless of our circumstances, we don't have the excuse to repeat our mistakes endlessly. What that does is it provides ammunition to racist, pedophile, world-destroying demons. And they'll utilize that ammunition against people. Don't you understand? So check this out, It's frustrating to me to know that these parasites, are maintaining their positions of wealth and power because everybody's so restless and stubborn. Rest in peace, George Floyd, Real shit, man. Come on, at some point, it's hard for me to be tactful and patient all the time, I really don't care about me, man. I care about reality. Okay? I don't care about my own comfort. I really don't give a fuck what people think, And that's why at times my anger comes out. But then I have to remind myself, fool, if you're like, yeah, even if you're passionate and you're speaking about the destruction of the planet and you're offering a life applicable blueprint that alleviate the misery of the masses, people don't want to be uncomfortable. They want to have to see that. If they do see that passionate or vigilant energy, they want it to revolve around nothing. They want it to be somebody that's full of themselves, encouraging other people to also be obsessed with themselves. They don't want to see an individual that's passionate about living for more than themselves, Passionate about living for the environment, for reality, for accountability, for discipline, for solution. They're saying that blood diamonds are unjustifiable and drinking for false confidence is pathetic. And at some point, we got to stop doing what them world-destroying demons are doing to break the cycle. We can't keep rationalizing and justifying with mental gymnastics, I'm tired of it, fool. I'm tired of it, dog. We can prevent a lot of this from happening with discipline. All we have to do is unite and evolve alongside each other. That man should have never had his life taken from him by that cop, Period. He should have never been in that position in the first place. He should have been in a community, in a society that revolves around solution, that would have encouraged that man to look introspectively and value his health and freedom. We don't live in a society that does that. That's why I don't villainize or demonize that man. That's why I'm upset. That's why I say the cop unjustifiably murdered him, because it's unjustifiable. But that doesn't mean that we don't have to exhibit discipline. That's going to lead to more of this atrocity, okay? Let me go ahead and clarify for you, We all make mistakes, right? But not everybody's held accountable to the same degree. So if people in the hood keep repeating our fucking mistakes, my first charge was armed robbery. That was the first time I ever got busted. It was on my 17th birthday. Now, if it was the first time I got arrested and convicted of robbery, how many times do you think I was doing it before? You have to be logical. This isn't an opinion. This isn't a false bravado disposition or an act that you see everybody else fucking presenting, dog. Social media. This shit's in paper. Just like the few realists that we associate with. Keito que Travi. Respect, And everybody else, hip-hop classics daily. He's a real one. We fuck with a real, You know what I'm saying? But it's just rare, for a majority have lived a lie for so long, dog. They become addicted to living a lie. They think that restlessness and misery and a fucking act and a false bravado, sup, fool, sup, They think that is the way to carry themselves, And if it can intimidate somebody for a moment, they get high off of it, or it relieves them of their misery just for a small fleeting moment, though. They don't realize that that's what they perpetuate the misery with. Avoiding reality, not continuously evolving past the addictions and character defects. We got a society that revolves around blood diamonds and designer scarves made by child slaves. This is not sustainable or fulfilling. This is not okay. And everybody's aware of that to some degree. But they're not acknowledging it. There's nobody in power leading by example. These politicians are sinister. So you got to understand that the guilt and shame, homie, it turns into anxiety and depression, anger, and jealousy. But people can't acknowledge or define or identify why they feel that. They lie to themselves because the doctors lie to them, because the politicians lie to them. It's a pharmaceutical corporation. Don't you see? This is a step-by-step process, and at the upper echelon or pinnacle of this process is the elite. And they keep people trapped in their anxiety and depression and their restlessness and hate and division, because that's how they maintain their positions of wealth and power. The masses uniting and evolving alongside each other, living for the paramount life aspects, reflecting on our health and freedom, being content with the paramount aspects, homie. Looking introspectively, acquiring a purpose, bro. That's not how the elite and pharmaceutical corporations and everybody maintain their billions in revenue. People aren't going to go to their doctors wanting Xanax for their anxiety if they're identifying the root cause and developing solutions regarding it. What does that mean? Those pharmaceutical corporations lose billions. The elite don't maintain their positions. Don't you see? It's a trap by design. We're the only ones exposing this trap. I've never seen any other human being on the face of this planet acknowledge that misery, anxiety, and depression is a profitable enterprise. And basically identifying why these doctors are giving out bad advice. Identifying why world-destroying people in major positions of wealth and power avoid these inconvenient realities and elephants in the room. We explain how poverty and gangs form when a corporation owner extracts resources and employment opportunities from a particular geographic region, creating a dilapidated lower class area. That's how gangs and poverty form, not magically out of thin air. There's a root cause to everything. But our society camouflages things and dissuades people from identifying the root cause. And people fall into that trap because that's how they maintain a distraction or a scapegoat. That's how they avoid accountability. They don't realize that their anxiety and misery and restlessness and shame, their depression, those character defects, those terrible feelings, those ominous sensations that surge through them continually until they drown it out with Xanax or alcohol. They don't realize that's their guilt, that's their shame, that's their conscious, subconsciously trying to reach through and say, you can't live like a world-destroying overgrown toddler and then claim to be a good person just because you have an orthodox appearance or a financial status. You can't point at gang members and say, I'm a good person just because I'm not a gang member. As long as I'm not a gang member, I'm a good person. You're not even acknowledging how gangs and poverty form. You're not acknowledging who commits majority of the acts perpetrated against children. You're not acknowledging who's destroying our planet and creating gangs and poverty, dog, perpetuating this chaos and this mayhem, bro. You're avoiding it. That's what most people do. They spend their entire lives avoiding inconvenient realities. They don't realize that that's the only reason they're miserable. You got to take that tea kettle off the burner. Otherwise, you're always going to have steam to vent. Don't you realize? You can vent all that steam, but you're the tea kettle, you're placing yourself back on the fucking burner, dog. So it doesn't matter how much you vent, or how much you drink, or how much you lie to yourself and get rid of that steam. You're back on the fucking burner, because you're living the lie, and it's recreating your misery, and it becomes an endless cycle, and then you die a horrible, pointless death. Come on, man, that's not life. Life's better than that. Nobody's perfect, but we have to learn from our mistakes and continuously evolve, or those people in power will always have ammunition to utilize against us. Can't use our circumstances as an excuse anymore, dog. Real shit, man. I actually care, fool. I'm tired of it, homie. You know, fool, I'm not fabricating. I don't draw my tattoos on my head and my face with a Sharpie marker every morning and then make up things, bro. This is all on paper. It's all documented. My first charge was armed robbery, you feel me? After that, I felt bad. I felt guilt. I felt shame to some degree after I allowed that epiphany to manifest within me. So then I started rationalizing only robbing drug dealers. Then I started to feel ignorant and childish doing that. Because at some point we realized that we can't just keep rationalizing, repeating our mistakes, homie. We have to evolve past them. All my time and energy went to something that was selfish, homie. Something that created fear, something that created death and chaos. You know what I'm saying? That's what an avoidance of reality does. That's what living selfishly does. We got to evolve past that and exhibit discipline, homie. There's things like THC, that don't cause rape and murder. Then we've got cigarettes, and then we've got fast food. People can't differentiate. This is an example. We live in a society that says, well, alcohol and marijuana are both drugs. It doesn't matter if alcohol causes rape and murder. So if something causes rape and murder in comparison with something else that doesn't, not one documented case revolving around rape and murder regarding marijuana, Alcohol thousands, meth thousands, Xanax thousands. But people can perform mental gymnastics and equate them based upon their own selfish inhibitions, false entitlements, impulses. It's crazy. But people cannot acknowledge inconvenient realities. They can't exhibit discipline. They can't acquire a purpose or a point to their existence. And it's all because there's politicians in power, homie. We're going to have to break this cycle eventually.